If I'm gonna give Into the Woods one compliment above everything else, it's that it isn't 3 hours long. Into the Woods is directed by Rob Marshall and stars a giant cast, okay? You're gonna get such people as Anna Kendrick as Cinderella, Meryl Streep as the Witch, Chris Pine as Prince Charming, Emily Blunt and James Corden as the baker and baker's wife, Johnny Depp as the wolf, and they also got Little Red Riding Hood. It's based on the Broadway musical, and it is a musical movie. It's a mashup of these different fairy tales, you know, Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, and they're all sort of, it's like a Pulp Fiction of fairy tales, if you will, where they all sort of come together. And the story that ties it together is of a baker and his wife who can't have a child, and they learn this story because of the witch, played by Meryl Streep, and she tells them if they collect all these items, she can give them a child. So that leads them, hey, let's sort of bump into Cinderella and Prince Charming. There's even Rapunzel's story in here, Jack and the Beanstalk, Little Red Riding Hood. It all sort of comes to a head and mixes up in the woods. It's directed by Rob Marshall, who, now I must admit, I don't think I've seen any of his movies. He made the 1990 TV movie version of Annie. Then he made Chicago, which is a movie I actually want to see. Memoirs of a Geisha, or Geisha, I guess, pronunciation. 9, and Parts of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. So the one movie I know him for, Parts of the Caribbean, is one I really don't like. And this movie, it got a little bit of buzz for me. When I was first going to see it, I was like, but there was a little bit of interest because it was just before I saw it. It made the rounds at a few award shows, specifically Golden Globes, where it was nominated for like Best Musical or Comedy, and Meryl Streep was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, I think. And I think she also has an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress for this movie. Meryl Streep wakes up in the morning, she looks in the mirror, and she's got an Oscar nomination like that. She just has to appear in a movie. She could literally have a walk-on cameo for 5 seconds and walk in the room like, I fucking farted, and she'd get a nomination because she's just that good, and the Academy loves her so much. Not to sell her short at all, she does a really, really good job in this movie. I thought she was really fantastic. And I thought she did really good. And then there's even a part in the movie where she, like, switches how she looks on the poster and in the trailer, and she's hot looking. I was like, yeah, she's a hot grandma. So, there's that. But the stars of the movie aren't Meryl Streep, they're James Corden and Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt I love, she is such a great actress. Looper and Edge of Tomorrow prove just how good she is. And James Corden too is really, really good. And I guess the thing I'll be mentioning with all the actors is can they sing or not. Meryl Streep had a fine singing. James Corden and Emily Blunt could sing really good. Emily Blunt was really, really good at singing. The Jack and the Beanstalk Jack from that story, he was pretty surprisingly good. And I loved his mother. She was really funny in the movie. Little Red Riding Hood was one of the characters that didn't work for me. The performance wasn't terrible, but I just didn't really like it, and I didn't like the singing voice at all either. Although her character was funny in the movie. Anna Kendrick as Cinderella was pretty good. I loved Chris Pine in this movie. There's also another guy that plays another prince. I think they're brothers. But Chris Pine was just hilarious. He has a song in this movie that is... it's homoerotic and it's hilarious. It's so funny. And Anna Kendrick, you know, she can probably sing. You know, Pitch Perfect 1 and 2, she's got singing chops. So in this movie I didn't expect her to be bad, and she didn't disappoint. She was really good. But the only thing in this movie that was most questionable, Johnny Depp as the wolf. It's a cameo performance. He's literally there about 5 minutes, if even. And I was sitting in the theater, he came on screen, and within 10 seconds I was like, I don't get why people gave him crap for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, saying he was like a pedophile or a pederast. That's this movie. Johnny Depp is a pederast in this movie. He plays the wolf, and it's within seconds he gives you the creeps, and the performance is just weird, odd, and creepy. And not Johnny Depp, I'm in white face paint, I'm eccentric. It's like sexual predator creepy, like you don't like him at all and you want him to die or something. He's scary. And he has a song and dance in this movie that I swear to God, if you change his attire, if you just make him look like normal Johnny Depp, or if you watch it with your eyes closed, not knowing what you're watching and knowing that he's a wolf, it's like the pederast national anthem. That's what it is. So Johnny Depp in a way is the bad part of this movie. He did it good, but it's just, ew. It's ew. That's what it is. It's ew. This movie's pretty funny, and it is a musical. There's a lot of singing. Not necessarily as much as, say, Les Miserables with Hugh Jackman, where every line is singing. You know, there's little breaks where it's normal talking and then back to singing. And I thought most of the songs were pretty good. There's one or two that didn't necessarily work. But for the most part, I was actually pretty impressed. The direction itself isn't very stylish or anything. Isn't it supposed to be like stylish Broadway, Chicago, look, this and that, glitz and glamour? That's what I think of anyway when I think of him as a director for those movies. And this just had no style really. It's just kind of bland. It's all in the woods and it's dark and drab. So it's not really a stylistic direction or anything. But it kind of feels like you are watching a stage play or musical as you would, because it all does take place in the woods. It feels like it could be a sort of edited together version of what you might see on Broadway. And the movie was enjoyable. I enjoyed the songs enough. I enjoyed the story. I was very entertained. And the movie gets to a point and comes to a nice, pretty much wraps everything up. It's like, not every story's been resolved completely, but for the most part, this was a pretty good movie. It gets to a point where it's like, this is a really good ending, and then it goes on another half hour. That's a criticism that I think everyone can agree with, because it does. The movie tricks you. It looks like it's over. I was like, wow, that was pretty short. 90-minute movie or whatever. Nice and short, sweet, to the point. And then it went on to 2 hours, and then I lost some enthusiasm for the movie for sure. The movie felt like it got a little bit unnecessarily dark, where it's like, oh, wow, this is getting dark. I like these characters. Things are happening. What's going on? Why would they do this? Really? And then by the time the movie wrapped up for real, it was like, well, I see what they were sort of doing, and I guess I go with it, but it's not as good. And a lot of people are just like, it gets to the point, and it keeps going, and the movie sucks from there on. I don't think it sucks. I think there's a point to it, and I get where they're going and why they would choose to do that. And in a way, it sort of works, but at the same time, it's like, had they really chosen to end it where I thought it was going to end, I would have gave this movie like an A-. It wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed it a lot. And it went on, and things happened that I was like not really on board with, like, oh, and there's a giant, and that, first off, that doesn't exactly look that great, and oh, that's what's happening to that character. What, really? Why? And then it wraps up. It's like, I guess I see what they were doing there. Yeah, I want to be able to go with it because I enjoy most of the movie, but the ending, the little chunk, it's like, but it lowered my enthusiasm for the movie as a whole a little bit. I would give Into the Woods a B+. It's a fun movie, a good musical. I enjoyed it. I like the style and the idea of like taking fairy tales, mashing them up, changing things, kind of turning it back on themselves, satirizing them slightly or making fun of how certain tropes go. Even though there's one they never brought up, which I really wish they did. It has to do with Cinderella. It's a problem with the original Disney animated film. It's a problem with everything. The prince dances with her and this and that, and she runs away. He's not blind. He can see. He's like, here, how I'm looking at the camera, you would see me. And yet, he has to have every person in the village try on the slipper or whatever so he can figure out who it is. He can't look at Cinderella and be like, I remember you from yesterday. You're a little bit dirtier. You're not dressed as elegant and fancy, but I know your face. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I can see you. He has to make him try on shoes. It's arbitrary and dumb. So comment below, tell me, have you guys saw Into the Woods? What do you think of it? What's your favorite musical? And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.